Alright, so I'm back, and today we're going to do another How Are They Holding Up? And this is an old masterpiece. This actually was before the actual MP10. It was before MP10. I think it was MP08, I want to say. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. So this was before they redid the official scale for Masterpiece. If you guys might remember, almost a lifetime ago at this point, especially in Transformer terms, originally Masterpiece was just whatever they could fit in. It didn't matter the real scale. It was just kind of like, oh, this is about the right scale, let's call it good enough. Or just like, oh, we want to make this thing this size instead of this size. And so they would. So there was a whole bunch of different figures and a whole bunch of different scales. And it was just chaos. So starting with MP09 was the Rodimus. That was the real starting point for the new scale. And they kind of made MP10 like the cornerstone of that. And then they just kind of saw what they already had and what would fit. And this is one of those figures that they still consider fit. MP09 did, MP03 once they retooled him did. But some of the other ones like the original Prime and Megatron had to go to the scrapyard. So, this is the, I believe it's the Hasbro version, pretty sure on that. And yeah, let's take a look at him. We won't go through the transformation like we haven't been. We'll just kind of look at him and see how he's been holding up. So, he's got the sword here. Let's see. This has been at my brother's house for a long time. So I haven't actually messed with it in a while. Let's see here. How do I light this up? There we go. Sword still lights up, actually. So he's got the sword that plugs into his hand. He also has this gun here that will also plug into his hand. And lights up there as well. It's hard to see because of the way it works, but in the dark it works a lot better. So yeah. Head is on a ball peg on the back, so you get a great range up, a pretty decent down. You get your left and right, little side to side. There's a switch here that still works pretty well. You just flip it, and he gets the red eyes. Flip it, he's got the blue eyes. The red eyes on the dinosaur head, you just flip this out, and then you can just rotate it over to blue. And then it just goes back in. So, if you're going for dino mode, it works pretty well. Shoulders are on rather large ball pegs. And I believe this was my original MP Grimlcok that's been just kind of floating around between me and my brother for a long time. I think it is. I could be wrong on that because, I buy, sell, and trade Transformers all the time, so it's kind of hard for me to say for sure. But either way, for such an old figure, these ball joints are still pretty tight. So you get up to there. They go all the way around. They get caught up on the wings here, but you can just kind of maneuver around that if you need to. And then they've got kind of like a butterfly that works with it there. Bicep swivel. Double hinged elbow that gets you about to there. That's pretty much all you're going to get. Wrist swivel. Thumb is on a ball joint here. And then this hand is going to be different articulation because that one's got the light bulb in it. So you get the thumb on the ball joint. The index finger moves on its own, and then the rest are one piece with the curled kind of fist fingers. He does have a little bit of a waist swivel. Gets about there, gets about there. frictions up to here, back to here. You can kind of get it out of the way and get it back further if you need to. Thigh swivel out to the side, or yeah, outward motion. Biceps or thigh swivel. This will also kind of move in too, so if you need to do something funky, you could. Ratcheted knees. And then he's got a rocker and tilt. Not the most, but it does work. And then as you saw, he kind of came apart there. So he does suffer from that. It's just a design issue with this figure, really. Alright. So, the question of the series is, how are they holding up today? How well does this figure hold up in the current market? So, it's got a few things that are working against it. First of all, you got the torso issue. Because of that, he's rickety, I guess would be a good way to phrase it, or wobbly. He's just kind of all over the place. He doesn't feel solid. So there's the first problem. Second problem you've got is these hands. So you got this one almost like very Hasbro toy mainline style hand, where it's just got the hole. I believe it's a 5mm port too. Let's see if I've got a. Yeah. So here's kickback from the modern line. He can hold the gun just fine. Which sucks. So yeah, there's that issue. The next issue is like little things like this. There's nothing really that's locking this piece together. All they would need is just an extra piece of plastic that would lock it in, but it doesn't. So it just kind of makes him feel on the unstable side. So those are the big negatives, I would say. There's also one more glaring issue, depending on your preference. So here he is with MP44. And right here is one major issue that a lot of people have with this figure, is the fact that he is shorter than MP, the MP Prime. And, it's, for me, I'm okay with it, in a way. Because scale's always been relative. It varies from episode to episode. The fact that he's about the same size as Prime, for me, close enough, we'll call it good. And I know he's supposed to be bigger, but I would have been okay with this. I would have, without an issue at all. Here he is with a modern deluxe, and he does scale pretty well with them. Like, if you're looking for the best, where he would fit in better, and you want a big figure, I would definitely go Chug. The main line is where he'd fit the best. And here he is with the Fans Toys offering, who doesn't flop around and is just a solid brick. And that's where the scale should be. Now, had we got more Dinobots in this size, I would say he's a better feasible option. At the end of the day, he's great. He's great. He's one of the first MP figures that I thought was just flat out amazing. Yeah, the Starscream was crap. The Rodimus was crap. MPO1, I believe he's good. We'll look at him soon because I've got the Nemesis on loan to me from Chris. So we'll look at him soon. But yeah, he's always been a really standout character. Especially in this size. And it's like, if I know Bullsfire did Swoop, which was kind of like a knockoff and sort of version of kind of a remade version of the Seeker mold, I believe. And if they would have continued, that would have been great. I would have been totally down with that. Because I do think there is a market for it. I do. And as of now, your best option, if you want a complete set of Dinobots in this scale, is the leader class ones that are coming out with the Studio Series. They're doing a pretty good job with those, so, go ahead and get those. And a lot of people had this Grimlock with their Fans Toys Dinobots for a long time because he had, like, little shoes that made him a little taller. Which I do have somewhere. I think I might actually have them right here. Hold on 1 second. Let's take a look here. Excuse the rummaging noises. That is me actually rummaging through a bag of bits right below us. Yeah, I'm not seeing it here. I have multiple buckets of parts throughout the house, so it might be somewhere else. And if it is, then I'm not going to bother. Nope. No luck. Okay, well, it's not important, is it? Not at the end of the day. The point remains is, it's still a pretty decent figure for what he is. And, but the problem is I can't fully recommend him. If you have him, then great. But if you don't have him, there's just not a place for him anymore, unfortunately. It's still a great figure. I recommend him to an extent. Like, if you're a Grimlock collector, then yes, I would definitely pick him up and put him on the shelf. If you're going to MP, though, I would definitely go with the Fans Toys, or you might want to look at the Gigapower. Is it Gigapower? You might want to look at Gigapower. If you are in the Chug scale and you need a big Grimlock to go with your Chug stuff, the Studio 86 series is a better option than this still. So, how well is he holding up? Unfortunately, not well enough. I'm going to give him a 3 out of 10. Yeah, unfortunately, there's just not a good place for this one anymore. And he's a great figure. Don't get me wrong, but in between, him not feeling very cohesive, he's kind of like a mess. Floppiness, the hands, the scale, all of that just equals not a great figure. Now, I know there's a number of people out there that still have him in their like Fans Toys collection, and they're just using him in Dino mode. And if that's what floats your boat, then great. But I don't think he is good enough for Modern Masterpiece collection. I don't. There's a better option out there. So yeah. I thought he would score better.